this, and at the second step, developers came, and where was the client? So a sequence of the steps.
I see your point. See your point. Yeah, we need to come up with an example, but what kind of example? Uh, let's say it's a
Like
warehouse
function.
management
We
system.
can
Okay.
take any function. We can
Huh?
take any function, maybe any calculator function or any simple function. We can start from
Okay,
any
yeah,
basic.
we can even go. We can go. We can even, yeah. Let's say we have a button. Let's say we have a button with
Yes,
inactivate the user. Okay, inactivate user for
yes,
some other reason.
yes,
This-
yes,
so
yes.
of course
Exactly.
that's the front end button is other story. But so we have a button. User wants, hey, I want to have a button. I want no, they don't say they want to have a button. They want to have a functionality. They want to be able, as a user, they want to be able to disable, specific kind of users because, because for some specific reasons,
Yes.
to inactivate them, or we never know. They violate some protocols, or we never know. So they want to be able to disable users. And for that, okay, I have it. So I have an applications where I have users in a database. So I need to write an API. We need to have the functionality to disable the user. So what I do is, okay, so what is the API then? What will be the endpoint they can use, or the front end team can use, right? Because usually, the customer sometimes, if you write a backend, you write it for a front end, or you, of course, you're in the same team. So
Yes.
again, going back to the example, you think, okay, I'm writing the code. Let's What is the API? What are the expectations? What are the expectations? Okay, the expectation is, okay, they want to inactivate the user. Okay, then user should be one argument of the function of the API. That's in the REST API.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Or just for a normal function, we can also think about it. So okay, so user is the one, and basically, do we need any other thing? We don't need, or maybe we want a flag where we cannot some other behaviors, but we don't need it. And also at the beginning, the TDD, it's enough. I mean, it's the simplest. We need to keep taking baby steps. So the small steps. Okay, we have a user. Let's have the user, and I'm already writing the code. I'm going to call it. I still don't have it. The function name. Okay, what will be the function name? What does it make sense? What would be inactivate user? Do I need user there? No, it's a question. It's debatable. Surely let's call it inactivate user, and I already have it. And after that, I can even start writing the assertion step. But at that point, it's already fails, right? So when we can already jump to the production. So let's go to the simplest example. Okay, I already have inactivate the user. It's already fails. It compilation failure. Okay, what do? I jump to the production code. I write a
Yes.
function or a REST API, and I already implement the API. But we just returning a knock because I want to make my test green. That's it. I just want to make it pass, right? And after that, I made it pass. I wrote the very simple API. I didn't do anything in it. I didn't do any logic because my test is a specification. It just doesn't compile. Okay, I want to make it compile. So I make it
All right.
compile. I
All right.
refactor, very good. And now comes the magic. Okay, I'm again. Let's extend the test to make it failing again. How can I extend it? Basically, I can extend it. Okay, what is the user I pass to the function? And after that, what I need to verify, I need to assert that, okay, I need to read it from the database, or it's an in-memory database, or, it's mocked out. That's another story. Uh,
All right.
I assert that the user is inactivated. That's what I write in a failing test. I write it, I run the test, it will be red because because the logic is nothing. It just returns just a void or
Exactly.
200 status for
Yes.
HTTP. So okay, it will fail because I expect to run this function and to have this user inactivated, but it doesn't do it, of course, because we start with the failing test. But we
Yes.
have the specification. It gives us a target. It gives us a small target. It gives us a small target, namely to add this small functionality to my application, and not more. It really helps managing complexity because we don't have to implement everything at once. We just small baby steps, and everything is
Small
verified.
baby steps. Yes. Small baby steps. We can just small baby steps. We're going.
Exactly.
All right.
So,
All
and
right.
now, I jump to the production code and I add the functionality that I have the user in my the argument. I read it from the database, and after that I deactivate it. Maybe it's a status flag. Probably a status, right? User has a status flag like is active, maybe a boolean or enum, and I change it. I store it in the database, right? I commit it, persist, and boom. And after that, run my test again. If it's green, I made it green. Very good. And now comes after that very important point, refactor. Is there something to refactor? And that's why TDD is really a benefit, really a powerful practice, because it keeps reminding me about the care of the design. It helps me to care about the
Yes.
design in every step.
Yes.
It's not like,
Yes.
usually what happens in software companies or in most of the teams who don't do TDD or they neglect testing and all these things, they say, oh, we will refactor it later, right? That's what they say. Oh, we will refactor it later.
It's basically traditional, it's basically traditional kind of testing where, testing is performed usually after the code is written. It's
Exactly.
now a traditional approach.
Exactly, and that's what they say. That they say we will refactor it later. When they have a code, oh, we will
Yes.
refactor it tomorrow, next week.
We're testing the entire system as a whole instead of, a bit of integration or functional or doing some sort of acceptance testing. Usually, the traditional test we used to, people used to test the system as a whole, and after the
Exactly.
code is written.
Yeah, and the problem with that, I mean, this traditional way of testing, the problem is that they do so the developer, writes some code, designs it, implements it, and hopefully tests it as well, or even with TDD writes the test first. But after that, okay, let's test it out by the Q&A. But in 5 days or 10 days, there is a big difference. There is a big the feedback loop is really long. So I made a code change, and in 1 week the Q&A say, okay, you made a mistake here, we tested out. It leads to very slow processes, and that's why we as developer should have the we should be responsible of the quality of the test. I don't say that Q&A doesn't make sense, but the Q&A people should be part of the testing team, which should be part of the development team. So
Yes.
usually when you have a QA teams, of course they try to help you and to test out the software. The problem is there is a big, as I said, big lag, big feedback loop, and you make a code change and the QA says in 1 week we already forgot what happened in 1 week because there are a lot of other things. So it will, and after that they say, okay, please fix it, and we bang bang ping ponging. It's not good. So therefore,
Yes. Also, the debugging becomes, difficult. The debugging becomes difficult. Once you have developed an entire feature, now you start debugging it, and now it meets expectations or not. So
you
TDD
need
is really helpful here. If you don't perform the traditional testing, it has so many benefits if you are into TDD.
exactly, it prevents a lot of reworks, because that's what happens. I mean, in traditional software, you write some code, and after that, someone tests it out, and hey, it's not good, it's not what we wanted. Please check it out. So you need to rework it. And basically, in agile development, you minimize the chance of rework. It makes you realize in proper agile development. It makes you realize that you made a mistake. Let's say you implement a small feature in just 1 day, you show it to your customer, and yeah, it is what we want, but a bit this, bit that. Okay, we change it. Very good. We get the feedback. We get the short feedback. We show it next day. It is what we wanted. Yeah. Good direction. Go this. And so we can really every day we can play with the direction. We know where we are. Agile about a way to know where we are heading, really to have the good directions. But if we really have our have our features verified in every second week by the customers, and even QA does it, then we can have a lot of mistakes and reworks, and those are super expensive. And even finding bugs later, it's super expensive, because you as you say, if you build something bad and after that you build something even worse things on it, it can really have a big impact on your software. So you need to rework. You can have bugs which you don't know where they are, because they have been introduced 2 weeks ago. And okay, where, but it takes a lot of time, and time is money, and we don't have time. What we want is to make the customer happy in short cycles.
All right, Daniel, do we use any kind of frameworks for the TDD which can help us in the maintaining this TDD with our software development process?
The thing is with TDD, and that's the beauty of TDD, that you don't really need something, technology related framework for that. You need to know how to design code, like the design patterns, naming patterns, etc. You need to know, doesn't matter your language, but you need to know this. You need to know how to test, how to write good tests, clean tests, like focus tests, self-contained tests, and trustworthy tests, clean tests. You need to know this, and of course how to write tests in your given language. I don't know, if you use I don't know, C#, you use some testing framework. If you know Java, you I don't know, you have the Mockito, yeah, right, and other libraries which can help you to write some tests. What I want to say with this, that TDD is something that you learn once and you can use it everywhere, and basically you don't really need so much frameworks. You just need to know the main the basics, right? I mean, the TDD cycle, the laws. You need to know, of course, the how to design code, and that's why TDD is not. It's simple, but in practice, you need several knowledge, like writing proper tests, writing clean code, and writing tests in your given framework. So I cannot really give you frameworks for this. All these small bits, if your colleagues or your community is interested, we made back then manifesto called TDD Manifesto, and it's tddmanifesto.com, if I am not mistaken. It was very manifesto.com. Yeah, that should be it. So we made it. I initiated the creation, but I made it with my friends, and back then we also created a festival about it. So this TDD explains the TDD Manifesto explains this. I can send you the link here in the chat.
Yeah.
So this and you can share it with your community. So basically, it explains the basics, what you need for TDD, why TDD is helpful. This,
Yes.
even there are practices how to write clean tests. So you can check it out. So it even tells you what you really need for TDD. And also there are exercises to do TDD. So small, short katas. So